what's up? Since I last talked to you, not much has changed. As you guessed it, I'm still talking about diabetes. Also, in case you are new, I'm Sarah. I had type 1 diabetes. It's probably guessed by the intro, we are talking about diabetes. So yes, I have type 1 diabetes. I've had type 1 diabetes for 12 years now. And yeah, so today we're going to talk about the differences between type 1 and type 2 diabetes because I feel like there's a lot of ignorance surrounding diabetes. Like, you hear people making those jokes like, oh, if you eat this, you're going to get diabetes. And it could kind of be frustrating for those of us who are like, well, there are more than like, you know, there's just more than one type of diabetes as well. And of course, besides type 1 and type 2 diabetes, there's also other types of diabetes, but I'm going to speak solely about type 1 and type 2 diabetes. So growing up as a kid, I've always heard like people say, well, I've gotten a couple of comments about people saying, oh, you can't have this because you have diabetes. I'm like, well, I know the most frustrating thing. There was a kid in my class who had type 1 also, but he never got that comment because the teacher didn't know. And then I just kind of kept quiet, but in my mind I was like, yeah, I can. As long as you don't have it all the time, clearly, and if you put in insulin for it, you can still have it. Anyway, so the main difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes is type 1 diabetes. So basically, when you get type 1 diabetes, they don't know exactly what causes type 1 diabetes, but type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune condition, meaning that the body attacks its own beta insulin producing cells. So it attacks the body's own beta producing insulin cells. They don't really know what causes it. They think it might be environmental or genetic, but they're not really sure. In my case, I think it's safe to say it's probably genetic because 2 of my other cousins also have type 1 diabetes. So basically, thank you, body, for attacking my healthy cells. Woo! We just love that, don't we? Just kidding. Hopefully they find a cure in the future. But, yeah. And then maybe are able to train. I would like to see something where they're able to train the cells or reverse the process or figure out how it is train the body not to attack its healthy cells. I don't know. Probably solve a lot of problems just besides type 1 diabetes also. The distinction between type 1 and type 2 diabetes is that type 1 diabetics are insulin dependent for the rest of their lives. Type 2 diabetics need insulin because their body has faced insulin resistance. So you hear cases in type 2 diabetics where they may say, oh, I have to take less insulin now, or I may not need insulin at all. In some cases, they may not need insulin at all because they've cured their type 2 diabetes. There is no cure for type 1 currently because type 1s are insulin dependent for the rest of their lives. Type 2 diabetics, in some cases, may be able to lower their insulin doses depending on a change in lifestyle if that's the reason why they got their type 2 diabetes. Well, it mainly is a juvenile condition, meaning like the kids usually get it. Although you can still get type 1 diabetes at any point in your life, it's more common for kids to get it. Type 1 diabetes is basically characterized by when the pancreas makes little to no insulin. Now, in type 2 diabetes is where your body is just resistant to that insulin. So your body makes the insulin still, but it's resistant to it. So that means that your body just doesn't, your body's like resistant to insulin. It doesn't like accept the insulin. It's there, but it refuses the insulin. In type 2 diabetes, it can be characterized by lifestyle, but in certain situations there are people that are more, what word am I trying to say? There are people who are more genetically prone to type 2 diabetes as well, because that's probably not fair to some people with type 2 diabetes that are just genetically prone to it. So, it could, in a lot of cases that you hear, it is characterized by lifestyle, and that your doctor will tell you, oh, your blood sugar is starting to reach this range, like a pre-diabetic range, you better be careful. But type 1 and type 2 are different for the reasons that I stated. Type 1, again, just to reiterate, is when your body makes little to no insulin. Type 2 is when your body kind of rejects insulin. So the best example that I can think of to describe is like the lock and key module. I'm not sure if any of you have taken chemistry or anything like that, but the lock and key module basically. So think of like when you open your drawer, for example, with like literally a lock and key. So you can't use the wrong key for your door, otherwise your door isn't going to open, right? You obviously need the correct key. So think of it like that. Basically, in order for your body to make insulin, the insulin needs to match with the lock. So you need the proper key for the insulin to be produced. So basically, your body is like, your insulin is passing over like the lock. So like the key is passing over the lock. So it's like it's bouncing, but it never like fits into the lock because your body just kind of rejects the insulin. So it's like it refuses the insulin. With type 1 diabetes, it's like it just isn't produced anymore. So, or there's little to none produced. Think of it as like there's not enough insulin to bind to the receptor. So that's basically what it is. So think of it as losing the keys to your house. So basically, yeah, and those are like the differences between it. Again, type 1 diabetes, little to no insulin. Type 2 diabetes, making insulin, body's resistant. Type 2 diabetes are resistant to that insulin. And I just want to say thank you for watching again, everyone. The goal of this video was just to fill in some gaps in information that people might have about the different types of diabetes, because very often in the media and in everyday life we hear people saying, oh, you'll get diabetes if you eat this or that. Also, I find in my everyday life that people don't really know the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but this is what I found at least, and I'm just here to inform people so I'm not being sensitive or butthurt about the phrase. I really don't care. It's not about the phrase. It's more the fact that some people don't know the difference, and even look in the media, they're constantly saying like, oh, like diabetes, and like people don't really know what that means. I actually changed my mind. I don't want to call it misinformation, rather lack of information, because it's not like they're purposely like saying anything. It's like lack of information because they're not being clear enough about the fact that there are two different types of diabetes. And I just wish that people would research these things further before just saying them, because you kind of do make everybody research these things further before just kind of saying them. So that's why I'm here to educate people in hopes that people know more or understand more about this or get something from this video. Yeah, so I'm just here to fill in gaps in information between type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes. And I also made a blog on this, so please feel free to check that out. It's called, what's the title of the blog? You'll get that if you'll get diabetes if you eat that. That's the title of my new blog. So make sure to check that out in the comments down below. Again, thank you for watching, everybody. Please like, subscribe, and share the word. Bye!